Hello, Willowbrook family. Today's daily Devo is Joshua chapter 6. If you take prescription medicine, you know exactly what this is, a medicine bottle. And all medicine bottles these days have a special child-resistant cap on the top. If you try to open it the conventional way, you are not going to get anything out of this bottle. It's that way by design. Only by following the specialized instructions will it be able to open. So, let's say that there's something in your life that you need, and it's the key to resolving something that is very important. It may be a huge problem or adversity that faces you or a loved one. But the problem is that the key to the solution is locked up tight. And no matter how hard you try to do things your way, you just can't seem to get to it. This is a lot like the story in Joshua chapter 6, the Battle of Jericho. As you just read, God tells the Israelites that they are to take the key city of Jericho. But it is heavily fortified, and the walls are very thick. In fact, thick enough to build a house on top of them. That's where Rahab's house was. And then God gives them very specialized instructions on how he wants this battle to proceed. And I'm just going to tell you up front, these plans would not make a lot of sense to a commanding general. God put a military parade together and told them to gather up the armed men, and then behind them were to be 7 priests, each with a trumpet or ram's horn. And behind the priest would be more priests who were to carry the Ark of the Covenant, that's representing the presence of the Lord. And then behind the Ark were to be the rear guard, which is the rest of the men. So the order of the parade would be army, priests, the Ark, and more army. And they were to march around the city once a day for 6 days. And then the Lord also had more specialized instruction. Not one word was to be spoken. Just the sound of the ram's horns would be heard. Then on the 7th day, they were to march 7 times around the city. And at the end of that, the priests would blow the trumpets in one long blast. Then and only then would the men break their silence with a great shout, and the walls of the city would fall. Now, most military people would look at that and say, that is a terrible idea. But Joshua feared and trusted the Lord. He had faith, and he took the time to be completely obedient to God's way of securing this key city. Now, back to the key that's trapped in the bottle and the problem of getting to it. There are 3 applications that I want you to see from this story. First of all, God told the Israelites that he had already given them Jericho. Jericho was a key part of God's work. And here's the first question that you need to ask about your key. Is this part of God's work for me? You see, there are a lot of keys out there that we would think would solve our need, but those keys are not for us. So make sure your key is part of God's work for you. Second, the plan God gave them took a while. 6 days doing the same thing, marching around the city. And then on the 7th day, the walls would fall. God's way would take 2 things, time and obedience. And it's the same with us. He wants us to take the time to be obedient. And then there's the third way. God wanted to take the Ark of the Covenant with them, the visual presence of the Lord. And you know, you should never go into any personal battle without the presence of the Lord. Moses never made a move without the presence of the Lord. Now, if you have a battle that you want to fight in your life and you really don't feel like you could take the presence of the Lord with you, well, Let me just tell you this. Maybe you should not be fighting that battle. Make sure the presence of the Lord is always with you. Don't run ahead or lag behind God or wander off in the weeds. So, back to our bottle. The obvious way to get the key is to do God's work and to do God's work His way. Then it opens. But as obvious as that is, it's probably the least popular way with many people because of our own human stubbornness and pride. You see, sometimes we make this bottle our work and we try to do it our way. And you know what? Never works. You'll end up spinning your wheels forever. Now, in addition to that, there's another way. And this way is even more deceptive. We view this as God's work, His solution, but we want to do things our way. Do God's work, but do it our way. And you get the same results, but you just get more frustrated. Remember what Joshua learned. Do God's work, God's way, and that, my friend, is the key. Have a great day in the Lord, Willowbrook.